everybody, Barry Greene here from Barry Greene Video Lessons with a free lesson on technique. Just let me give you a little background first. When I was younger and practicing, 8-10 hours a day, I was doing a lot of scale practice and it was super beneficial. I still practice my scales every day. But I still was finding myself being very frustrated when learning tunes like Confirmation or Donna Lee. Obviously, these are all bebop heads that require just like a different, way of dealing with intervals that weren't really happening in just regular scale exercises. Even when I was doing, intervallic practice within the scales, it still really was not fulfilling what I was needing as far as dealing with bebop and negotiating tunes, like rhythm changes was probably the best example I can give you. So I have these two exercises that, one I'll take credit for, the other one I will not. One is, the first one I'll show you was one that I learned from Joe Pass. Not personally, just through some reading and stuff. And both these, though, are based on the cycle of dominant pattern that I would find in rhythm changes. But I can do it continuously, and that's the whole purpose of these exercises. I'm going to call them perpetual motion exercises, meaning that you can play them as long as you basically can. And for that reason, these exercises are ideal for building stamina and, again, also getting you comfortable with some of the typical bop language that you're going to find. So what I mean by the cycle of dominance is if I start with a G7 chord, it's just going to go through this pattern endlessly, and now I'm back to where I started with, but you would continue on and on. So that's the chord progression that I'm playing these over. And the patterns, each of them are for 4 notes each. And the other thing they both have in common is they both start on the 3rd. So this is how the first one goes. And again, this one I got from Joe Pass. It's super, super simple. So the pattern itself is just 4 notes. It's the 3rd, 5th, root, 7th. This is, of course, with the G7 chord. And that's the whole pattern. But what happens is this. I'll go from my first pattern. That will resolve to the 3rd of C7. I'll play the pattern again. And that'll resolve to F7, reserve. And I'll play the pattern again. And then B flat 7. But as you can see, I'm going to run out of guitar very, very quickly. So I've devised this thing where I can flip the octave on the root within this pattern and change direction any time. So if I'm going too high, I can go backwards. If I'm getting too low, I can head back upwards. And that works like this. So here's the pattern. So those are identical. They both have gone up. But this time I'll take it down. So I'm flipping on the octave. So now I'm almost able to stay in position. Actually, I can stay in position the whole time. So if I were to start again on G7, and I start here, for instance, on the 3rd, again, it's 3, 5, root 7. So I'll just start playing. So you can see I can just do that for as long as I'd like, stay in position, or I can creep up the neck, creep down the neck, but the trick is just to flip the octave on the root. So that's the 3rd tone of the pattern. That's the root. So those would be your 2 variations. Sorry. So one takes you down, one takes you up, and it's really, really great. It's super powerful. Play with the metronome, of course. I'm a big fan of Drum Genius. I use that as a practicing tool every single day. And just throw on a nice, comfortable tempo where you're not making any mistakes. Your hands feel very relaxed. Your body is very relaxed. And you're going to get great results. As a matter of fact, not that I brought that up, I should probably say maybe a few things about that. I'm an alternate picker, up and down in most cases. When tempos are medium, and I don't really need to have like an up and down thing, for instance, in real melodic playing or, at slower tempos, sometimes I'll vary things up and play more upstrokes. For some reason, I get a lot more pop. At least that's the way I feel about it. At this point, I don't think about it much anymore. I seem to favor upstrokes a lot, but that's at real medium kind of tempos. Sometimes they would just play downstrokes completely if the tempo was slow enough. But once it gets to a tempo where I'm required to, play with a decent amount of velocity, I'll do down up really, really consistently. And again, for me in my own mind, I'm being very, very relaxed. Anyway, yeah, even during that part, which is pretty fast, both my hands are completely relaxed. I'm trying to keep this buoyancy kind of a thing going in my right hand. I never stiffen up. I'm trying to keep it very, very buoyant and very relaxed. So anyway, let's jump over to the second exercise I was talking about, which is just a variation on the one I just showed you. But this one incorporates the sound of flat 9 in it, which is one of the most common extensions, particularly in the bebop era. You would hear Charlie Parker routinely play, just here's a 2/5 in B flat major, for instance. Or it's a very, very common sound. It's in numerous tunes, and like I said, it's part of the bebop language. And that's where I was kind of getting hung up, as I was saying in the introduction part of this video. So this pattern, again, starts in the third. It's identical in that regard, but instead of going 3, 5, root 7, I'm going 3, flat 9, root 7. So it's the same idea, but rather than flip on the root, you flip on the flat 9. So I'll get this now. And again, you can see the main purpose of this is that I can continue this for as long as I want to. Again, playing with a metronome and just being real relaxed. So here's a little more example of that. Okay, so that's the idea. I randomly just stopped on D flat 7 at that point for no reason at all. But you see how the pattern works. It's this perpetual motion exercise, both of these, that you can do for as long as you like. And I found it to be incredibly beneficial, especially, as I said, where you don't ever have to stop. And you could just keep this going. And again, big important notes here is that play with good time. Play with a metronome, or even better, play with Drum Genius. If you're using a metronome, put it on 2 and 4. If you really want to challenge yourself, get it going on 2 and 4, and then if you have a metronome, like I think most of us do nowadays on our phones, take the second beat off and just hear the 4th click. And it's really, really great practice for developing time feel. But that's it. 2 simple exercises that are super, super beneficial. So before I say goodbye, I invite all you guys to come and check out my website, Barry Greene Video Lessons, where there are days worth of video, thousands of pages of PDF material, lessons on almost every possible subject that I could personally think of. I'm really great about listening to people's requests and am constantly updating the library of lessons. There are usually at a minimum 1 a month. But there's enough material on the site right now to keep you busy for quite a while. You can subscribe to the lessons yearly or monthly. You can buy and rent individual lessons. There's a lot of options for you out there, but I truly believe that it's some of the best material on the internet for learning jazz guitar. I would have loved to have had it when I was a young guy in the late 70s trying to figure this stuff out. It would have been immensely helpful. So that's it. Thanks for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I'll see you on the site soon. Bye.